It was a bright, golden morning. Sunlight spilled over the little house at the end of the street, warming the grass and making the flowers in the garden glow like tiny lanterns. In that garden stood a family, Sophia and Daniel, and their two children, Ethan and his little sister Mia. The children could barely stand still. Mia bounced on her toes, clapping her hands together. "We can play in the garden today," she said, her voice bright with excitement. Ethan grinned back at her. "I love the garden," he said, and for a moment it seemed like nothing in the world could go wrong. But before the games could begin, Daniel knelt down in front of his son. His face, usually so easy with laughter, had turned serious, not angry, but careful, the way a father looks when he wants to make sure his words truly land. He placed a gentle hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Ethan," he said, "listen to me carefully. Never go into the street alone. It is very dangerous out there." Ethan looked up at him, and for a moment the whole garden seemed to grow quiet, as if it too were listening. "Promise me," Daniel said softly, "that you will stay inside the garden." Ethan nodded, a small, earnest smile crossing his face. "I promise, Dad," he said, and he meant it. In that moment, he truly meant it. The morning rolled on, full of small adventures, chasing butterflies, building little towers out of pebbles, lying back to watch the clouds drift by. Everything was peaceful. Everything was safe. Then, near the open garden gate, something moved. It was a small orange cat, its fur catching the sunlight as it padded along, tail flicking lazily from side to side. Ethan's eyes went wide the moment he spotted it. "Oh, a kitty!" he gasped, his whole body leaning toward the gate. The cat, as cats often do, chose that exact moment to bolt, darting suddenly out through the open gate and into the street beyond, quick as a flash, leaving a little swirl of dust behind it. Ethan didn't think. He didn't remember the promise he had made only moments before. All he could see was the cat, disappearing down the street, and all he could feel was the need to bring it back. "Come back, kitty!" he shouted, already running. Behind him, Mia's heart lurched. She reached out a hand, as if she could somehow pull her brother back by will alone. "Ethan, stop! Don't go!" she cried, panic rising in her voice. But Ethan didn't hear her, or maybe he heard her and simply couldn't stop himself. He ran straight through the gate and out into the street, calling after the cat. "Wait for me!" The street was quiet, the way streets sometimes are in the middle of a lazy afternoon, but quiet is not the same as safe. Ethan stood in the middle of it now, watching the cat scamper further away, and in the distance, faint but unmistakable, came the low hum of an approaching car. For a moment, Ethan simply called out again, "Kitty, come here!" But then, something shifted inside him. A cold, sinking feeling crept up from his stomach into his chest. He turned his head and saw it, a car, closer now, moving toward him. His eyes went wide with fear. "Oh no," he whispered. The car kept coming. Ethan froze, his small feet rooted to the pavement, his whole body trembling. "Mom, Dad, help me," he screamed, his voice cracking with terror. Back at the gate, Mia saw everything. Her hands flew to her mouth, and she screamed with everything she had. "Ethan is in the street!" The sound of her voice cut through the quiet afternoon like a siren, and inside the house, Sophia and Daniel heard it. Something in a parent's heart recognizes danger in their child's cry, even before the mind understands the words. They ran, fast, faster than they had run in years, bursting out of the house and into the garden. "Ethan!" Sophia cried, her voice raw with fear. "Ethan, stop!" Daniel shouted, already sprinting toward the gate. Daniel reached the street just as the car drew near. There was no time to think, only to act. He ran with everything in him, his heart pounding, fear and determination colliding in his chest. "I'm coming, Ethan," he called out. And then, in one swift, desperate motion, he reached his son, scooped him up, and pulled him back onto the safety of the sidewalk, just as the car passed by. "I got you!" Daniel gasped, holding Ethan tightly against him. "You're safe now. You're safe!" Ethan buried his face in his father's chest and began to cry, his small body shaking with everything he had just felt. "I'm sorry," he sobbed. "I'm so sorry, Dad." Sophia reached them, moments later, wrapping her arms around both her husband and her son, tears streaming down her face. "Thank goodness you're safe," she whispered. Mia ran up and took her brother's hand, crying and smiling all at once. "Don't do that again, Ethan," she said softly. "Please." It was then that a calm, steady voice approached them. A police officer named Sam had been walking nearby and had seen the whole thing unfold. He walked over with the quiet confidence of someone used to handling frightened people gently. "Is everyone okay here?" he asked. Daniel, still holding Ethan close, nodded, though his voice was shaky with the aftershock of fear. Officer Jack knelt down so that he was at Ethan's eye level, and his expression softened even further. "It's okay, young man," he said kindly. "You're safe now." Ethan looked up at him, tears still shining in his eyes. Officer Jack continued, his voice gentle but clear. "I need you to listen carefully to me, all right?" Ethan nodded. "There are 3 rules I want you to remember," Officer Jack said, holding up one finger, then 2, then 3 as he spoke. 1. Always stay inside the garden, where it's safe. 2. Never ever chase anything into the street, no matter how much you want to. And 3. Always listen to your parents. They tell you these things because they love you and because they want you to be safe. Ethan looked down, his small shoulders sinking with the weight of understanding. "Yes, sir," he said quietly. "I understand." Daniel placed a warm hand on his son's shoulder. "I'm just happy you're safe, son," he said, his voice thick with emotion. The family thanked Officer Jack, and he offered them a final smile as they turned to walk back toward the garden. "Take care of each other," he called after them. "Thank you, officer," Daniel replied, lifting a hand in a grateful wave. By the time evening arrived, the fear of the afternoon had softened into something quieter. Relief, gratitude, and love. The garden glowed with warm evening light as the family settled down together. Ethan and Mia sat close, eating chocolate ice cream, their laughter returning bit by bit. "This is the best ice cream ever," Ethan said, and Mia giggled. "Me too." Sophia and Daniel watched their children nearby. "We're so glad you're safe," Sophia said softly. For a while, Ethan sat alone on the grass, thoughtful and quiet, the breeze moving softly through his hair. Daniel came and sat beside him, wrapping an arm around his son. "I love you, Ethan," he said simply. There was nothing more that needed to be said in that moment. Just a father and son, sitting together beneath the darkening sky. Sophia approached with more ice cream, her smile warm in the fading light. "Who wants ice cream?" she asked. Mia lit up immediately. "Come on, Ethan," she called, waving him over. Ethan accepted his bowl with a small, shy smile. "Thank you, Mom," he said quietly. The whole family gathered together on a blanket spread across the grass, sharing laughter and quiet conversation as the stars began to appear overhead. "This is a good day after all," Daniel said, and there was warmth in his voice, the kind that comes only after fear has passed and love has settled back into its rightful place. Ethan